Hello and welcome to ET Auto. Today we have Santosh Iyer, Vice President Marketing and Sales for Mercedes-Benz India. Thank you, Santosh, for talking to ET Auto. I welcome you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah. Just wanted to start in terms that your launches, especially in the COVID era, has been very different. You had two AMGs, now you have the super luxury GLS SUV, the top line of the kind of mega SUV, the best, the largest you have. So I've been trying to understand these times when everybody is assuming that the customers would be looking at conserving cash, and downsizing their purchases. Mercedes-Benz has got the best of brands, the high ticket three launches, and how has been these been perceived by your dealers? How do you see the market reaction? And how do you see the launches happening and traction in terms of sales for 2020?
It's a very valid question because in these times, where do customers come from? So the way I look at luxury segment, I actually split into two. One is the 1 crore plus, where you can say the GLS, the AMG, the GTs, the C63 coupes, many of these specialty cars fall in. And then we have the below 1 crore, wherein the GLE, E-Class, C-Classes, and many other cars are there. So what we have seen actually is the 1 crore plus segment is not as affected because I think they are traditionally, there's a lot of money there. They have been buying these cars also for maybe they just love some of these cars, exotic cars. They are new launches. So frankly, the first car that we booked online was a G63 AMG. It was just implausible for us to think that 2 months back. But that's the kind of traction we get on the top end models. Then comes the other segment, which is the volume cars in the so-called luxury space. And here we have two challenges. One is, of course, the external challenge of COVID. On the other side, internally, because of the BS6 transition, we had planned a certain number of cars. And last quarter of 2019, we almost sold out everything. So, our GLS, our GLE all got sold out, and including the CLA and the GLA. So technically, we vacated 50% of the segment starting 1st of Jan this year. And that's again another impact on top of the COVID impact that we see right now. So what we have done is now we have restarted. Our entire effort is to gain back volumes. So we have introduced the GLE variants that happened 2 weeks back. We have also now introduced the new GLS today. This should take care of some volume aspect. But the real volume cars, which is the replacement to the CLA, will be the A-Class limousine. That will all come only in Q4, including the new GLA. So we expect also for internal reasons Q4 to be a bit similar to the last year. And this is something that we are seeing right now from a demand perspective. So, yeah.
Okay. And I just want to, today you launched GLS. So this would be the top end of your SUVs. How do you see the market changing in terms? SUV has been gaining traction, and some companies have been bringing more SUV models. The body shape is basically the fancy of customers. But it's also a perception that people would be looking at smaller vehicles, maybe some entry-level cars, even in luxury. But you already said that 1 crore plus kind of segment has not been affected and is quite insulated from the COVID times. How do you see the SUVs gaining traction and the momentum and the kind of appreciation and likingness for SUVs will continue?
Yeah, firstly, I think SUV affinity in India is high because of two reasons. One, I would say, is because of the road conditions and also the sense of security that one gets in a larger car in India, because we drive very close to each other, we even in traffic conditions. So sometimes a larger car gives a better sense of security to some. So that's one reason we see why and of course the road conditions, so people like SUV as a body style. The second reason, of course, is this trend was spotted by us and many manufacturers. So a lot of new launches are happening in the SUV space, and that also creates excitement. If you take our example, we launched the GLC, then we launched the GLC Coupe, then we launched the GLE, now the GLS, and now we have the GLA coming at the end of the year. So technically speaking, all these are in the SUV bracket, and that will also drive some demand. If you look at GLS, we have seen a 21% growth ever since we introduced this car in India. And even in the last year when we had macroeconomic headwinds, we saw GLS still growing 5 to 7% growth, even in the GLS as a category. So definitely, I think there is a good affinity for this body type. Because of manufacturers like us also launching more products in this segment, you also see the segment growing much faster than what a normal sedan segment is as such. But till today, our best-selling car is still the E-Class long wheelbase sedan.
You have sold almost 6,700 units of GLS. That's quite a significant number. Do you feel that local assembly, which brings in used taxation benefits and makes the price very attractive and competitive, has that helped in terms of attracting more buyers for SUVs?
No, no, of course, for sure. Actually, we launched the new GLS in 2010 via CBU route, and there were good customer acceptance, but of course, the price was high, and the volumes were low. And this is where we took the decision to actually get the GLS in India in 2013. The
Yeah.
growth of GLS we see is tremendous in the last 3 to 4 years. So out of the 6,000 odd numbers that you rightly mentioned that we have done here, majority of them would have come in the last 3 to 4 years post localization, post the big surge in the new GLS facelift when we had launched it 2 years back. And ever since, it's a clear segment leader. Actually, frankly, it doesn't have much of competition also in that segment. It's a class. One of the only luxury seven-seater available at that price point, at that bracket. So we have been doing extremely well with the GLS thanks to the localization, and of course, which brings in certain cost advantages also to the consumer.
Today you have brought in, I think, rather you have introduced the EQ boost in GLS. Can you enumerate on the technology and how that will benefit prospective customer?
Yeah, so and also, so it's a very good observation because if you see today, we have actually announced prices of petrol and diesel as the same, 99.9 lakhs. Traditionally, we used to have a differential pricing with diesels being more expensive and petrols being cheaper. And the reason was diesel needs more equipment, be it say AdBlue tank or maybe SCRs and others. So definitely diesel cost was higher. But now in petrol, what we have done is, and the petrol customers, what they missed was the torque, the added power and the feel which generally diesel engines offers. So what we have done is with EQ boost you have reserve power. It's basically in the generator, and at your demand you still get additional horsepower, additional torque, and that's something the EQ boost does, and that's why the price has gone up, and we have a price of petrol and diesel engines as the same. So that maybe answers your question.
Okay. Right now, you were saying that your prospective customers are the sophisticated, the successful, the perfectionist kind of people who aspire to buy a GLS and all top-end brands. In today's time, the business has taken a minor hit in terms that almost 2 months of lockdown, and thereafter that people are trying to come to terms with the reality. Overall, the sentiment is gradually moving. There's a sluggish environment. How do you see buyers for these? Okay, customers, business class plays a very critical role. Entrepreneurs, they are big buyers. In today's
Correct.
time, when business is affected, how do you see the traction coming especially for the festive period and future months?
See, basically, we have two-pronged strategy. One is we excite the customers with new products that we have seen, launches and stuff. And second is with financial offerings. At this point of time, you're right. We have customers who have concerns on their business, their cash flows, and others. And that's why we have the Wish Box, which really helps customers to own a Mercedes-Benz at a lower EMI, or maybe pay the EMI after 2 to 3 months or even after 6 months. So these financial solutions should also mitigate some of the concerns and not postpone buying a Mercedes-Benz. So these are two levers that we are using: new products and Wishbox with financial offers, trying to excite the market. The way we see now recovery happening, coming also from other markets, is if we are out of wave one, and that's very important that because each state is in a different situation in India. Delhi is a Maharashtra or even south of India. So if you are out of it, and we will be out of it. I think from a Indian consumer standpoint, we always live in uncertainty. So our feeling is that customers in India may come out of the corona uncertainty much faster than maybe other markets also. But of course, the economic environment has to be suitable also for purchases. And here, there is no direct support from the government to create demand. It's all indirect support, be it in terms of interest subventions, support to MSMEs. And our view is these indirect subventions or support will take time to create demand. So basically, if we are an optimist view would be by Q4 this year, we should be able to see demand similar to last year Q4. If at all, we are out of the wave one in the next 1 month's time, we get back to normalcy. So at least we come back to last year Q4 levels. But if you see the full year impact, definitely we are looking at a double-digit degrowth.
I'll go back to the diesel and petrol thing in terms that BS6 it was perception that diesel might lose traction and people will be more attuned towards petrol because of price and other factors. I'm talking about the entire segment, about the entire industry. But luxury, traditionally, SUVs have been diesel driven and petrol has been gaining in sedans and all. So there has been a different kind of breakup. Are you expecting visible any changes which are making a distinction in terms of the buying behavior of people in petrol and diesel?
Frankly, this buying behavior was more in markets like Delhi, where we saw, customers shifting to petrol because of the Honorable Supreme Court's order way back in 2016 on diesels. But now with Euro 6 getting, or Bharat Stage 6 now getting transitioned, some of those apprehensions are taken care of. At the same time, if you see a couple of days back, the government also issued a notification where the orange sticker, which is actually placed on a diesel car, will also have a different blue strip, signifying that it's a BS6. So that also means the government is viewing BS6 very differently compared to BS4, and that should also help maybe consumers to elevate any concerns they have on the diesels. Frankly, we always advocate both the fuel types. It's about consumer choice. The distance that he drives, the kind of finish he wants on the car, the pickup that he wants. And for us, we have not seen a significant shift. We still sell 70% of our portfolio is diesel and 30% is petrol. And always we have both the offerings whenever we launch the car. So that puts us in a better spot. So of course, if demand shifts, it will shift gradually towards petrol for sure, is what we feel, but it will happen over a longer period of time, not something in the near term.
Santosh, if I can ask you, what has been the reaction of your dealer principals and how many dealers are operating? Is it full functional right now? Because we have heard that the customer walk-in, the footfalls has not been very enthusiastic. The customers are a bit reactive in terms of looking at uncertainties and overall a bit gloom in economy. The perception in terms of buying new cars is not very strong, though May was an exception where an SUV became the top seller in India. So it's a very mixed reaction. How has been for Mercedes-Benz, especially coming from your dealer principals?
Yeah, so dealer principals are also one big. They are what we get sense of the market because they are closest to the customer compared to us sitting in Pune as such. So definitely we also are in constant touch with them on feedback. But I'll come from the consumer and then I will again tell about the dealer. The consumer is today also many of them want to buy cars. So if I see I have more than 2,000 inquiries via digital channels, etc. Showroom walk-ins are less for obvious reasons there. But at the same time, when they want to take delivery of the car, they come to the showroom. So we don't see them saying, no, I won't come. I will take contactless delivery or something. They all want to come to the showroom and take deliveries. But yes, walk-ins for inquiries have come down. At the same time, digital inquiries have gone up. Customer expectation is that maybe because the market is down, I can get better offers, better deals. But here I think we all need to understand that the fixed cost of our automotive segment is very high. And here when I look at suppliers or when I look at OEMs or dealers, they are all carrying huge fixed cost. And what's happened with COVID is the demand coming down or supply, the overall turnover coming down, and with new cost like PPE kits, sanitation of the showrooms, workshop, productivity coming down, the cost of our dealers are also going up, and they are also facing immense financial pressure. So for market to expect or consumer to expect that discounts will be higher is not wrong, but it may not happen because with these fixed costs, I think neither the OEM, neither the dealers can actually bleed more and pass on more offers in the market. This is where the recovery may be much lower than expected, is what we feel. What we have done with our dealer principals and partners is, along with DFS, for example, we have tried to support them for a certain moratorium on their repayments. We have tried to also make certain norms flexible. We have tried to reduce their fixed cost in terms of people or in terms of even showrooms and others. So we are trying our best to go through together in these times. But the dealer concerns are also valid, and I think for everybody to come back, the demand has to come back. That's the starting point. When demand comes, I think the balls will start rolling, the wheels will start rolling, and hopefully things are back to normal pretty soon.
I also want to ask another question on the dealers in the sense that how do you see the relevance of brick and mortar stores remaining in times when digital inquiries are going up? I'm especially asking, there's a huge apparel brand in Europe which has closed almost 1,200 stores globally. They've taken a huge hit because of COVID times and they are moving towards digital. In automotive, it's a similar experience, but the ticket size is very different. People want touch and feel and the experience of buying a car. Safety is a very big parameter in terms of buying decision. How do you see the future of brick and mortar stores in India?
So our view is both will have to coexist. Coming and as you rightly mentioned, car is a high ticket purchase, not only about the price but high involvement purchase also. It's the consumer involvement is much higher. As I mentioned earlier, we see a clear trend. For example, taking deliveries, they come to the showroom. They just don't want car to be delivered, and that's a very unique phenomena. They want that experience of car delivery, puja, whatever they do. They come with families, of course, wearing masks and stuff, but they do that. On the other side, inquiries are digital, and that's the reason we started something unique called a virtual online concierge. So today
Okay.
we don't allow consumers just to browse our e-commerce platform. We are available up to 12 a.m. midnight for an online concierge, because many of them after dinner they start browsing and they want to get in touch with on the offers or any of them. And so we are fully transparent with our stock, we are fully transparent with market offers, and then if we need support, our sales guys are available till 12 a.m. in the midnight to assist a customer, either video, phone, or just online chat. All options are available, and I think the Fiji digital, whatever some people call it, the both has to coexist, and that's very clear. The digital space will increase, at the same time the physical infrastructure of our dealers, their personal relationship, because in luxury segment I think many of the cars are sold based also on the relationship that our dealers have with customers. I think that's very important and cannot be ignored at all. So our view is both will coexist, and they will find a new normal by themselves.
Can I ask you one small thing in the sense that how COVID has changed your 2020 strategy? We started on a weak note. January was weak. The market was not showing great traction. You were the only luxury car player for the Auto Expo. You had a huge presence and you had a fabulous pavilion. Going forward, then in March and then April, the lockdown happened. How has your strategy for 2020 changed in the light of COVID?
I think you're right, Chanchal. When we even met in Auto Expo, with all that, nobody could imagine in 2 months' time we will be having a lockdown and zero sales for the first time ever in automotive industry as such. So things are very drastic, and on one side we don't see only in India. This is also a phenomena which is affecting globally. So unlike an economic crisis which is in some parts of the world, this is a crisis which has hit the world as such. So learning from other markets, one, we are confident that this will go away. I think we all feel that we will learn to live with this virus in some form of the other. What will be the time period for the recovery path is anybody's guess. But to be on the optimist side, we also, that's why I said that we will not delay product launches. We will go ahead with what we have planned. We'll continue with our investments and go ahead with this. Coming to specifically how has our strategy changed, I think our strategy was, if you ask in Auto Expo, we had a much clearer view till December 2020. In fact, even 2021 to some extent. Now, if you ask me July or June, I am not able to give an answer, because with all these lockdowns, all these cases, it's very difficult. And I think we have to start living month by month, not quarter by quarter or year by year. And that's something fundamentally changed from a strategic overview. We will come back to the earlier times, but it may, I think that's only will happen once it stabilizes. There is a cure for the virus, or there is a vaccine, and then things may look completely different. We come back to the older planning cycle, strategy cycle, etc.
Now, in the last, I'll ask you a question from the dealer fraternity. Are you changing their margin for the year? Is there anything on the demand that dealers has been continuously demanding in terms of enhancing margins to meet the extra cost?
I think the FADA is a very reasonable view in that asking for more margins. But frankly, all this has to lead to dealer profitability. End of the day, if the margins gets increased and if the dealers end up doing just discounting of those margins, or even if they end up, adding to more cost of their business, they will not be profitable. So if profitability is the mutual goal that between an OEM and our dealers we decide, then we need to have steps to reach that. And for that, as I mentioned earlier, one of the way is to look at the cost structure, because some of the cost structure are also OEM driven in terms of standards and stuff. Can we look at cost? Can we look at also different ways of doing the business? I think digital also gives a very unique opportunity to look at marketing cost, for example, of the dealerships, and trying to acquire customers in a much more cost efficient manner. So I think we are discussing with our dealer on those lines. It's not a one directional view of margin. It's a view where we will look at profitability in the full picture and not only margin as such.
And you're the only car maker who has made a digital launch. There have been three product launches after the lockdown. And I wish you success for that. And can I ask you what is the next launch that is scheduled for Mercedes-Benz India?
Next launch, current plan of record, today we discussed about EQC, which is our electric car. You remember in Jan, we showed the car
Yeah.
here in Pune. Basically, we launched the brand EQ, and now it's time to launch the car. It's been delayed. Our original plan was April. Of course, we had the shutdown. So right now, we are working to get this car to India. We need to have minimum volume so that we can launch this car. That's the current plan, and let's see how this goes now.
Thank you so much, Santosh, for talking to ET Auto. I wish you all the best in these COVID times and great sales, and you achieve all your targets for this year and the fiscal.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Stay safe, Chanchal, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.